Okay, for this video we will be creating a pergola, and what I'll do with this is the pergola will not be on a deck. It will just be on a surface, and I'll extrude these posts up at some point. The lessons that you learn here are similar to if you have a deck and you want to show all the structures. This is a good way to do it. For decking and pergolas, each of the sort of spans that the wood has to do or are calculated, but when we're kind of doing a design model or we're at this schematic stage, we just really want a quick and dirty pergola that we can say, oh, this looks like a pergola, this is what we do. We work out all those details later. So this is a way to kind of do it pretty quick. Um, what I'll do first is we need to figure out what the height is. So I think I'm just going to make it 10 feet tall, or at least well, I'll tell you what, I'll do 8 feet for the bottom of it. So that way it'll be, um, the bottom of this will be 8 feet. So there's my, um, little vertical line. Go ahead and copy this to the top, just so I know, okay, it's the bottom of this is going to be within that box. I'm going to go ahead and extrude, and you could have done this instead, but I'm going to go and extrude these posts up, and those will also go 8 feet. So I could just type 8, enter, and that gives you an idea of like where that is and how it's just going to be a big burly one with these big posts. But at least you can see what's going on. So second, we need some beams, and I'm just going to go ahead and we could put the beams on the side. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. That'll be fun. That's how I usually like to do it. And the question is, how am I going to draw these? I'm just going to look at doing a rectangle, and sometimes you look over here and you're like, where am I snapping? And so I'm just going to make sure I snap here, and then I'm going to go down here, and it's going to do, I'll do 1.5, click by, and I'll make it I'll just do 11.5, and hopefully I get my, no, something went totally wrong. Let's start over. It may be slightly off, and that's okay. 1.5. Oh, I want 1.5 inches, my bad. That's why I went crazy. And then 11.5 inches. Enter. And so it went above it, but no worries. We'll just move that down. And that should represent my beam, the outline of my beam. I'm going to go ahead and switch this to the posts, and so we can kind of maybe see this a little bit better. I'm also going to change this to black, so maybe it's a little bit easier to see. And I have my beam outline. It's just, I use that geometry to make sure it's correct. What might be a good idea at this point is to go ahead and draw a little bit of a control line, because I know this is the same height. I can actually just make sure this is the middle. So I'm going to move that over, and then I'm going to actually copy this to here. So this, actually I don't need that, but this gives me the beam. The beam's going to overhang this post, so this allows me I can just extrude it basically all the way to the end here. And I don't think I need this, but just in case, it's kind of worth, just in case something, I need a little point to match. So I'll extrude this curve. Oops. This is the problem with working on ghosted. You see through, you select everything. I'm going to go to shaded, extrude curve, and then I don't know what's going on there, but we'll try this again. And that's my big, nice beam. Obviously, that this probably wouldn't span that far. You would have things that show, how it connects, but this is, again, this is like a sketch. So what I'll do is put another little guideline here, and this will allow me to actually, I'm going to copy this over, but I want to copy it from this point to that point, and that'll enable me to show like, oh, there's my beams. Now, if you wanted the joist to run in the other direction, you always have to connect these two beams, but I've just made this kind of decision here. So I'm going to copy these, go from like some point that I can identify, stick the bottom corner of this thing, enter, and that should be good. You always want to kind of check when you do these things and make sure you're on. Don't assume that you kind of got it right. And so that's pretty quick. I can go ahead and Oops, I don't want that outside line, sorry. Move these to the beam layer. So just to kind of keep our colors separate, we know what we're doing. So here's a little bit of a like quick and dirty kind of method, and I'm going to do some fast math, but you can check my work in a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and explode this line. I've just already determined basically the way I've drawn this is that my joist will stick out like this far, and I want to do a distance, so DI, and then I can measure here to here, and then that says it's 21.75 feet. The other thing you can do is type in length, and you can just click the line, and it'll also give you the same thing. It just depends on, I have a line, so length's a little more efficient. The reason I'm trying to figure this out is that there's a pretty cool command that I can do that's called divide. And it means I can divide this line just like I don't have to think about the offsets and all that kind of stuff. I just divide it, and I've already sort of tested this to where the number of segments that I divided in is 15, and I know that'll be close to 16 on center. Again, you come back, you draft this a little bit more precise if you're doing like construction documents, but just to get the initial idea across, these are kind of quick sketch ways to model. So I hit OK, and it actually placed points on the line. And what I'll do is, so we have our joists. We want to do some joists. I need to find, this is the spot I need. So again, we'll do the rectangle. Let's see if I can actually do this one, 1.5 inches. So it's a 2 by, and we'll go big and make it a 2 by 6. So that'll be 5.5 inches. Enter. And so, since I've already drawn this on the edge, this will be pretty simple to extrude this curve, and I'm going to go ahead and make my joist layer my current one, and so I should be able to just snap to the perpendicular, and that gives me my joist. And then we promised this would be on center, so we probably need to move that midpoint. Oops. And so that lines up on center. I'm going to go ahead and just take this. We copy from the point, and this is one of those things where I can just basically turn everything in OSNAP off except for point, and then I don't have to worry about, I go point to point, and you can really actually do this quite fast compared to what I'm doing. And that gives you your structure. Like I actually kind of feel like, maybe I should put something on the outside here. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy, and I can go from point to point, and let's see what that does. So just put one, well, sort of on the end. That's a little bit wonky, but this is where you do the old-fashioned cheat method, because I am using the divide command, and I cheated the math polyline, and then I need to get my O snaps and all that stuff back. Sometimes in 3D it doesn't like me, so I'll just go to that intersection and then get that one. Make sure I take that is not a part of the joist, that's part of that line, and then I'll just move this from that to there. It's a little bit off, but no one's gonna see it. And then do the same thing where I actually just copy it I'll just copy this object from the point where it intersects, and then I go all the way to the end. And that should do that. And that's pretty fast. So you know, you aren't doing really all of the structural work, but it's kind of the design of it. Let's take a look in rendered. You can see if you change the time of day, you can see what kind of shade you're throwing down. And if you need it to be tighter, well, you just make them tighter. Thank you.